Good.
Yeah, everything is good. I got your audio, everything else. Let me tell you something. I hear the background. I hear plates banging, and I'm for once happy to hear that much noise in the background.
Right, man. We're doing business over here.
Most of the time when people come on and we have our conversations, people get really upset because they're like, man, my background is too loud. I'm like, well, listen, this is the first time I'm glad to hear all that background. You know, I'm glad to hear about all the stuff you got going on. Let's do this. Before I go off on my tangent, tell everybody who you are, where you are, and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Rob Lester, and I'm the owner of Sweet Georgia Cafe here in Medellin, Colombia, and also the owner of Sweet Georgia Breakfast Sports Bar and Grill that we just opened, which is a spinoff of the cafe.
So let me do this. Let me share with everybody a shot of the Facebook page.
Okay.
There.
There we go.
Waffles.
Yeah. Yeah, we brought chicken and waffles to Colombia.
So here's what I'm going to do. In the comments so everybody will get a chance to definitely boom. Oh, wait a minute. Do you know Brother Howard Cooper?
Howard Cooper. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. Yeah. I know Howard.
Howard has been on the team for a while. We often trade. He trades a little of his fitness insights with me because I'm not a big fitness, but I
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Where were you born, and how did you end up in Colombia?
Okay, I'm originally from a little town called Fort Valley, Georgia, in the heart of Georgia, Peach County. We've had a few famous people come through there, folks like Greg Lloyd from the Steelers and Jaquiz Green that played for the Bucks. So yeah, I'm from Fort Valley, Georgia, and lived my first 18 years in small town, rural Georgia, and then I lived the next 18 years in Florida. I went to FAMU in 1990 and graduated in 95 and stayed in Tallahassee another 5 years, and then left there, did a brief stint in Atlanta and then Jacksonville for like another 8 years, and then I moved to with my family to DC, to the Maryland area, spent about 8 years there. And then I realized that, it was time to leave the United States, and went to Panama for a year. And a good buddy of mine recommended, he told me, he's like, hey, if you like Panama, you're going to love Medellin. So visited Medellin for a week and fell in love with the environment, with the people. And came down here and been here ever since. That was August of 2017. So it's going on 3 years in Colombia.
Wow. I'm telling everybody to add you on their Instagram page.
Okay. That's good.
Right now, on a more serious note, right now, part of what I've done for a living is editing, copy editing, proofreading business, and I have a couple other business ventures, but something I used to do kind of on the side for my friends and for my friends of friends was expat relocation, meaning you want to get out of America and legally come to Brazil, be it for 3 months, 3 weeks, or indefinite amount of period of time. My company and we work with, my company hired bilingual Brazilians who know the process, and we go through the process with people. I want to tell you that over the past, let's call it 3 months, I have gone through the roof with people calling me, messaging me every day saying, listen, I need to get out.
Wow, they pulling the ripcord, huh?
Yeah. Hey, real brother, thanks for stopping by. I always appreciate it when you can when you can say hello. Make sure you share. I'll actually show you because this is what I do. For anybody who wants to connect with me, I'll put my LinkedIn in the chat as well. I help people with visas, residency, permit applications, all those pieces of paperwork that you need to stay anywhere legally. Because people always talk about going someplace and overstaying visas. Those days are gone.
Right.
So, I mean, have you found a real influx of people coming from the United States there?
Yes. Matter of fact, the cafe here is sort of like it's like a little hub for people doing exactly that to come and we would have like Monday meetup when pre-COVID, when Americans and that were living here uh, come and then the tourists find out about it and they come and what ends up happening is people decide they want to stay, and so we pretty much give advice on people like yourself. Hey, this person can hook you up with a visa and everything you need to legally stay, because I kind of I got a little saying: if you stay outside of the tourist area here for more than 5 days, odds are you're not going to want to go back. And that happens a lot. If
Yeah.
they're in the tourist area, it feels so much like the United States. They don't really get the full feeling of
Right.
the relaxation that comes with Colombia, because it's just so much like home. But if they spend a good 5 to 7 days in the more tranquil, more laid back, more local areas, like Laurel is, folks normally don't want to go back, or they dread the fact that they have to.
Wow. Oh, I totally forgot this part. He said, "What's my Cash App?" I'm not in the U.S. I don't have a Cash App, but I do have a regular Patreon that I hope everybody can try to support. Or YusefWateef at gmail.com is my PayPal. So here, let me put this in there for you, real brother. PayPal. And I thank you for that. I got a couple of really nice birthday wishes from a lot of people. So there you go. Now, right now, well, let me back up. I saw something that was real interesting. I saw something that leads me to another, what I consider to be one of the most serious things that people talk about. But I saw this. Language.
Right. Yeah.
My
Yeah,
question
that's
is,
uh-huh.
do you still do that?
But we were doing it up
COVID.
until up until COVID, right? Yeah. So yeah, we have some customers, and that's one of the things, customers come in, they have, my loyal customers, they have ideas, they want to try different things at the cafe, have, a salsa night or do language exchange. We kind of, if you're a loyal customer, this is a place where, you can have an event, a birthday party. And so one of our customers wanted to do language exchange because her apartment was getting overwhelmed with people, so she brought everybody here, and so that was really fun.
Wow. Rudy says hello. Rudy Francis.
Hey man, long time friend.
Let me ask you this, because I'm in Brazil where we speak Portuguese.
Okay,
Your Spanish.
man, it's getting better, a lot better. I've really gotten serious about it this year. I think the first couple years I was just more focused on that transition, out of the United States, and being surrounded by, having the business. I'm constantly surrounded by English speaking people.
Is that the
So
problem? Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's hard because I can talk English with people all day, because even our staff speaks English, which is one of the biggest draws to our business, is that people get English speaking wait staff or servers. So yeah, but this year I'm taking it seriously, and I'm taking classes every day, and I got some folks that's helping me with it.
Well, I'm a big on Pimsleur method. And if I can help you, wow, the neighbor's dog sounds like somebody just tried to steal it. So, I believe that learning that second language for so many people, and I don't necessarily just mean for me Portuguese, for you Spanish. I know so many people that I've helped and shown learning a second language is a great way to get out, especially if you don't come from a situation where you have a lot of financial options. Having a second language, a fluent second language under your belt, can not only make you money, but can open doors for you.
Right. I believe that.
Real doors. And it's awkward because it's not free, but it's extremely cheap. It's extremely cheap to learn a second language, and most people don't know it. Like, hold on, I got a video I'll show you guys. I call it Live in Brazil Hustling Portuguese Backwards, because I actually went into a university class out here. COVID hit, university shut down, and then it was the best thing for me because, again, I got into Pimsleur, which is an app that no reading, no writing. It is 100% spoken. And if I were you, I would actually say, hey, ask your friends, ask the people there, how many of you folks know about Pimsleur? Because, and click this if you want to see what happened with me. In there, they have a program that's 30-day blocks of 3, 4, 5 blocks. And their claim to fame is you do 30 minutes. And what you do is you do one class and then you do the same class twice. You know, you're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Okay. What about now? Let me see here. You got me?
I see you, but I'm waiting for it to sync up.
Are we good? Let's see.
I see you.
Okay.
And I'm getting feedback now. That's odd.
Let's see. What about now? Are we good?
Testing.
Testing. Testing. Testing.
Okay.
Are we good?
Syncing up here. Yeah.
Yep.
But
yep.
if
one of the drawbacks of the
go ahead.
You or me? Testing. You there?
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Are we all synced up now? Is it good?
I think so.
Okay.
We had a question, and this is the heart of what I wanted to talk to you about. Brother Craig said, not sure if you discussed it, but how difficult was it to set up a business in Colombia? Can you talk us through that process from, your first piece of paper, you sitting there now?
Yeah. I've had several businesses throughout my life, and I would say that this is probably the easiest business that I've ever set up. I find that Colombia makes, they kind of reduce the barriers that you might find in the United States. But what made it easy is basically, not reinventing the wheel and not making it hard by trying to do it myself. What I did was I went to the most prominent law firm that's known for working with expats here in Medellin, and for a reasonable price, I want to say maybe somewhere between $800 and $1,000. They pretty much took care of everything, including my business visa. So they set up the business, did all my visa paperwork all at the same time because the visa was contingent upon the business. And it was the easiest process I'd ever dealt with. They just tell you where to be, and you got to be here, you got to do this, you got to do this. And over the course of maybe 4 or 5 different meetings, around town, wherever I needed to complete the paperwork, it was done. And I hear a lot of people come into my cafe and they struggle with visas and even setting up businesses and getting bank accounts. The banking can really be a challenge here, because there's one primary bank that everybody uses, which is Bank Colombia, and they can really be a challenge. But what I've found is that if you're working with a Colombian representative, everything is 10 times easier than trying to do it yourself. It's almost it's funny. I believe that they make it harder on gringos for not choosing to work with a representative.
I'll give you a little bit of pushback on that, having lived in a bunch of countries and had bank accounts in a bunch of countries. Something that you and I may lose sight of is that if they had a situation where a bunch of gringos with a chunk of money to us that may be relatively small, but disproportionately large to them, we could really disrupt their economy. Even if we never did anything illegal, by the way, if all we did was flood them with businesses that were internet-based that could disrupt their local economy, I mean, that's a very real possibility. Could you imagine 10 men like you legally coming in and dropping off $1,000 to get all their paperwork done? And then whatever the investment is for their place, let's say it's a competitive business against yours, it's a restaurant. Maybe it's another place that simply does IT design work for online.
Mm-hmm.
They still have people in their neighborhoods that do that. And you become a sponge for those foreign dollars, and those dollars may not be repatriated back into their own economy. So they're terrified. They're terrified of guys like us coming down there. I mean,
so you think that's why they make it more challenging?
I think they make it challenging for most foreigners. Most countries aren't the United States that can really stand to absorb a bunch of foreigners coming in and doing business. You get fragile economies like yours in Colombia or mine in Brazil. I can off the top of my head name 10 friends who have moderately deep enough wallets to come down here, and we could probably change a section of the city. Not just with the money, but our technical know-how. You and I have great university educations. The average person on the face of the earth doesn't have an education even at a high school level to compete with ours. That's
right, and that's kind of where I was going when I was saying that I think it's more of a comfort when they know that there's a local interest involved in your business, like that you are contributing to Colombians or Venezuelans. It's a lot of Venezuelans here, getting a piece of your pie. So see, I make that known through the representation that that y'all are gonna eat too. You see, and I think that makes a big difference than when you're just a gringo walking in the door without a local team. So I keep a local team. I've got my construction crew, I've got my my girlfriend, I've got my legal assistant. So it's rare that from a business perspective, unless I've been dealing with them for a while, that anybody I'm dealing with here is going to just be dealing with me, because I know things get lost in translation. There are some cultural subtleties that you may not understand or get. And, I think what happens is Americans get frustrated because they don't understand the culture. in terms of how long things take to get done. So there's just like you say, the difference in education and so forth. So when you're working with a representative, all of that's kind of smoothed out. So it's just better, in my opinion, to spend the money for the help, because it just greases the wheels in terms of getting whatever you want done. Right.
That's an excellent way to put it. It greases
Right.
the wheels for your opportunity.
Correct.
Wow. Well, now that you're established, now I'm a permanent resident in Brazil. I have their equivalent of a green card. If it wasn't for COVID, I would probably have my passport by now. Is that the route you're taking there?
Yes, definitely.
Huh?
Huh?
How long does it take?
Well, I'm still trying to figure this out, because I have a business visa that in April I will have had 3 years, right? And then I know you're supposed to have your residency for 5 years before you can become a citizen. So I've got a question as to, how much of that, if that 3 counts toward the 5, because it could be 8 years or it could be 5 years, but I know it's no less than 5.
Well, I would think that as a business owner who's invested money into the economy, you may get some sort of a preferential treatment.
Well, I'm hoping so. that's the plan. So yeah, I'm that is what you just mentioned is probably, especially with everything going on, is the number one item on my agenda, is trying to figure out, make sure I can stay here with the investments that I've made.
Because for me, one of the first things I did and that I have my clients do is I go in and make sure I have a business account here, set up a small business that allows me to hire people, things like that. Just allows me to show them, hey, I'm indoctrinated in the culture.
Right.
Now, my biggest barrier here is that they make you take a language exam. Fair enough. The problem is, what's going to kick my ass is it's not just speaking, it's writing.
Oh, okay.
Woo! So
when do you got to do that? I mean, that's like whenever you're ready, or you're on the clock to get that done by a certain time.
No, I'm not on the clock. I'm here legally. It's the whole difference between my ability to stay here and say I live here permanently, full time, no problem, or I'm going to become a full passport wielding citizen. And look, I'm an overachiever, right? I want to have. I want to have that.
Right.
You said something earlier that triggered my brain. I want to show everybody an article. I'll show you guys. Hey, writing is the easiest part. Look, you know what? We'll have that conversation later. She is an amateur polyglot. This is a friend of mine who,
okay.
She just learns languages just to learn them. I'm not that guy. I do one at a time. I'm getting my Portuguese down cold. Hey, good morning, BK from the Rockies, the field general. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you. Thanks for reminding everybody. What I was going to show you is you did an article. You said something about they're not doing business with just me. I tell people this all the time. I did an article called "Eat It All," and I'll put a link. But the article "Eat It All," what it means is, you can't just eat by yourself. When you do well, everybody's got to do well.
Right. Right.
You can't be one of those people that's like, oh well, I'm doing good, so I guess that means everybody else is going to have to go screw. That's a good way. Listen, depending on the business you're in, that's a good way to have no clients, no customers, and even worse, be left out in the cold by the people who are in your industry.
Correct. Yeah, you gotta spread the wealth.
As you said, make sure you join the Patreon, and I'll show everybody that one article. It's called "Eat It All." For people like me who are things online, my Patreon is where, you and I can sit here and talk, about the
Mhm.
things that we've done, but invariably there are going to be people who just need the actual like nuts and bolts when it comes to some of the things I've done investment wise, some of the things I've done traveling and the technical aspects of how to do I mean, my biggest article on my Patreon was how to get your criminal background check done before you left America, because you can probably testify to this. How many people have come to you saying, hey, I have to get my local and federal background check done and I don't know how to do it? Have you had anybody
And
talk about that for their paperwork?
for here,
Yeah.
that's no, that I don't think that's a requirement. Is that a requirement there for getting a visa?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Brazil, definitely. When you come in, if you do any kind of long-term paperwork that's more than just being a tourist, you have to give them a properly dated and apostille document from the federal and your whatever your hometown is saying you are not a criminal.
Wow. No, that's not the case here. I don't know why that's not the case here, but I've never had that come up for anybody, and I've been involved in a lot of visa conversations, including my own. So, I mean, I guess that's a big difference. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. And here's the thing: it's not hard to do if you know how to
Right.
do it. And that's what people hire my company for.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, buddy, I tell you what, I did an article on it and I put it in my private Patreon. That article alone has saved people a lot of money and a lot of time. But I'm surprised because that would mean Colombia is the only place where I know of, and I've lived in about 15 countries. And when I say lived in, I mean for 2 years or more. Before here, I was in Shanghai, China. The only country I've ever heard of where they do not ask you for a criminal background check has got to be Colombia.
Yeah. I mean, I've never, I didn't have to do one, especially. I mean, I would remember if I had to do something like that. And yeah, and I've had other people get help through the process, and nobody's ever come back and said they had to have a certified criminal background check done. So that's interesting. I wouldn't have known that was a requirement anywhere else, and until now.
Look at the
So
comment you just
okay, what's up, man?
So you look like you got a pretty big fan base. So what city are you in?
Yeah, we're in Medellin, and I haven't been to Brazil yet, but I like to say Medellin is the best city in the Western Hemisphere. But I'll wait till I come check you out. But no, a lot of people come through here, and it's really interesting. I mean, this restaurant, this business, now it's two restaurants. It started as just house parties, and good food, um, being cooked by my Colombian girlfriend, and the next thing it's a cafe, and 2 years later, almost 3 years, we just opened the second location, which is in the tour zone in Poblado, and it's more of a sports bar with breakfast. And so it's been fun, really fun, watching it grow from just an idea to almost like a tourist destination now, where we get people coming here fresh off the plane, and a lot of you know cool guys with YouTube channels have come through and taken videos and posted them, and they get a lot of following. We get a lot of visitors just from the YouTube videos that have been done on the cafe. And so we were about 90% done with the new location, with the Sweet Georgia Breakfast Sports Bar and Grill, when COVID hit. So it's really been a challenge getting that location open in times like this. I had one brother say to me, "Man, people are worried about the virus, and you starting businesses." And it's like, you know, in times like this, there are opportunities.
Well, men like you and I, when things got tight for other people, I started seeing opportunities pop up, and I just started eating. I mean, I've got another business that I have set up. You know, and it's one of those things you have to have that eye, you know, in chaos to see go. It's like in the Matrix. Remember when Neo started to see the lines of code and he was like, oh, I see it now?
Right.
That's when chaos hits, everybody else says, oh my goodness, a thunderstorm. I say, oh, there's some money over there. Wait, there's another bag of money over there. Let me go.
Right.
Stuffing bags in my pants, trying to get out the door with it, and it's invisible to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, you know, the vision is that there would be a sweet Georgia either cafe or sports bar in every global city where, you know, there are a lot of American expats missing that kind of food and atmosphere. And, you know, we have the boxing fights. We have probably the biggest 4th of July and Thanksgiving celebrations in the city. And it just gives people an opportunity to get the flavor of home and the environment and the food, you know, without having to go back, because nobody wants to go back. I remember the first year we did Thanksgiving, everybody felt guilty because it's like we're having more fun here than we would have had we gone back to the United States. So that's our mission. And so with the COVID, with the pandemic, and it's really tragic, you know, but at the same time, it gave us some, in order, completing that vision is easier now because, you know, a lot of restaurants have gone out of business. The equipment is cheaper. So yep. The anticipation is that, you know, we'll be able to, as soon as they, start allowing tourists to come back into Colombia, you know, we'll have multiple locations, all of the ones that we plan, much faster because of the cost savings.
So we got a quick question here. We addressed it a little bit earlier from Dominican Don Juan. Do you need to speak Spanish to operate as a business person?
Absolutely not. I'm proof of that because you know, I the first 2 years I really haven't spoken any Spanish hardly, and so you don't really need that. I mean, the interpretation and the assistant. The cost of an assistant that speaks Spanish is probably somewhere between $2 and $3 an hour.
I try to tell people and they don't listen. When people hear me say, oh, I run multiple businesses, I'm not technically there having to type in the information, and I'm not technically there to have to receive a simple phone call to set up a time that somebody's going to do something with me. I hire staff for that, and I pay them well. So everybody eats it. Everybody wants to, well, I can't do all this work by myself. Why don't you take a little bit of the money you made? And we live in a global world right now. Do you know how many of my friends have a virtual assistant in the United States? A virtual assistant in the Philippines, a virtual assistant in Brazil, and here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. You know, Sao Paulo is the education hub of the city. It breaks my heart to say this. Do you know how many unemployed, bilingual, educated Brazilians there are that have university degrees, speak English fluently, and can't get a job? Do you understand how long it takes to hire them? To pay them more than you would have made if they were collecting unemployment, but still a fraction of what you're making, and everybody's happy. Everybody's
happy. You know that you bring up a good point. I mean, when I was hardcore corporate America, and I left there and started several businesses of my own, you know, I think there's a with the cost of doing business in America, you have to, a lot of times, you can't just be a capitalist. You can't just be a CEO. You really got to roll up your sleeve and absorb some of that cost because it costs so much. Whereas in these foreign countries, you can really sit back and be a CEO and pay for everything you need to be in place for a fraction of the cost. You don't have to be a jack of all trades. You can have your website guy. You can have your construction guy. You can have your marketing person, you can have your assistant, you can have your sales team, and all of this might be for combined something like $20 an hour, at the end
And
of
you
the
know
day.
what now about everything being online, it's harder to fool somebody. So a person says, "Oh, I can market your website and your company and your restaurant. Show me your work."
Right.
If I'm going to pay you, show me your work. So now you're in a situation where if you have the vision, that's again for shout out to everybody who's on my Patreon. That's where I put a lot of that information. If you really learn how to be a business person, I did an article once called "Corporate Whore Before Entrepreneur." I was a financial professional for 10 years, and I always tell people that you should definitely sell your ass corporate whore for 10 years and then quit, no matter how much money you're making. Learn how the game is played, right?
Right.
And from there, go make your own game. Now, the trick is in America, and I got a little insight coming as a financial professional, what they end up doing to people is you make a little bit of money your second year because maybe you got a bonus check. Maybe you moved up in the company. You make a little bit of money on another commission you did. But now all of a sudden, I think I need a bigger house.
Yeah.
Now I think I need, that new car that I got in the garage, I need a newer one.
Yeah. Yeah, and we become a slave.
So when the 10-year mark pops up and you say, I know all this information, but now I'm making all this money, but I got bills to pay. Look at that. Corporate whore before entrepreneur. I tell people that one all the time. I will put a link in the description box.
Yeah, I think I did about let's see, 97 from 97 until 2008. So I was like 11 years. And then that was it, but I would never let myself get comfortable, regardless of how much money they were paying me. I would always keep a certain amount of discomfort in the situation, whereas most people, making that kind of money at a young age, my peers, they would get comfortable no matter how much I made, no matter what I was driving. I would just not allow myself to get comfortable in the situation because I felt like at any point it could all be taken away if somebody just had a bad night with their wife or something, my boss or something, he didn't get laid the night before and comes in and now I don't know how to feed my family. So I always wanted to beat corporate America to the punch.
Right.
I'm going to leave you before you leave me.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Doesn't it feel good to be in a situation where now you can relax a little because you got businesses that work? Now, I'm not saying be lazy, but it's a lot less stressful working for yourself than working for somebody else.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And especially when you change the value system, I'm sure all my friends and stuff and even family members, when you move into Colombia, well, I was moving to Panama at the time. So it wasn't the drug stigma. It was just, oh, he's lost his mind. But it really is just realizing I had a major health crisis. I had to get a tumor removed and so many feet of my intestines and so forth. And in 2014, and that just kind of woke me up to the idea that, no amount of money could help me get out of the hospital bed. So how much does money and possession really matter? And so after that, I began just, reassessing my value system and changing it to where, it's like you really can't sell me anything in the mall. Cars don't matter, jewelry, all this stuff doesn't matter. It's all about how much time and enjoyment I can spend the rest of my days, as opposed to trying to accumulate things. And when we left Panama, when we left Maryland, and you got these, so many years of stuff that you've been putting in big houses, and now you got to throw it all away or give it away, because it has no more value. But you realize this is what I spent, X number of years slaving for these people to get all of this stuff that I no longer care about.
Well, you said something earlier. You said you were moving to a different country and then Colombia, and you said the other country didn't have the drug stigma. Now,
right.
Here's what's interesting. People who don't know that they don't know something are the first ones to open their mouth. My personal favorite is, wait a minute. Your move. Let me give you a starter pack. I moved to New Mexico State University to get my second university degree. I had people saying don't drink the water because they didn't know New Mexico was in the United States. Okay? Second, I've lived in 15 countries. I remember coming to Brazil, and I did something that wasn't necessary. You know, sometimes it's good to be right, and sometimes it's good to be kind. And I did something unkind publicly to a relative who said something that grated my nerves. And my relative said, "Oh, you moving to Brazil for those girls?" And I looked him in the eye and I said, "Do you not understand? I fuck beautiful young women in every country I live in, including America. I don't have to go abroad for that." And it was awkward because now I'm not telling anybody else watching they got to jump off the cliff like I do, but I'm notorious for saying I want to travel the world, lift heavy weights, train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, fuck beautiful young women, and live off money I invested yesterday. That's me, but I don't have a boss. There is no human resources department. So people look at you and they say, "How dare you, Rob, leave America, move to Colombia, have a Colombian girlfriend, and open up a restaurant franchise, and we're back here struggling. Don't you feel bad for us?" Nope.
No, I don't. Because I mean, that's the one thing that nobody can say about me. All, you know, when I discovered, you know, hey, you can double your salary or triple your salary with a Microsoft certification in you know, back in 1999 or something like that, when I got involved with IT, the first thing I did was tell all my friends and family, "Hey, here's an opportunity to make a shitload of money. All you got to do is take these classes. I'll help you." And, you know, of course, I think maybe I think a friend's brother took me up on it, and he's doing quite well to this day. And then when it came down to, you know, when I got to Panama and I saw how great it was, once again, I'm telling everybody, hey, you need to really reevaluate things, come out of her, you know, come out of the belly of the beast. And so I don't feel sorry, because I always tell folks the good news. And if they don't choose to listen, then that's on them. You know, you just gotta, you know, everybody don't get there at the same time, as my mother always says.
Well, all we can do is be the example, because talk is cheap.
Right.
Like to quote Khalid Kweli, you know what? Your fan club, man, your fan club is pouring in hard. Read that.
When I visit Medellin, Sweet Georgia Cafe is always on my list of places to eat. And I'm telling you, you know, it's like, it's not just coming here for similar food to what you eat in the United States. Our stuff is better. Okay, our stuff, you know, my chicken and waffles will blow Roscoe out of the water. You know, IHOP ain't got nothing on what we got going on over here, because the quite frankly, the ingredients are better, more organic, and at the same time, the people that we have cooking the food, you know, they aren't, you know, it's not just a job, it's a love. You know what I mean? They love cooking. You know, it's sort of like grandmama, like this is all they gonna do all their life. They not just like working in a restaurant to you know, to pay for college and the type of stuff you might see in the United States. Is just a part-time job or somebody on parole or whatever the case may be. No, these folks, you know, they've gone to school for cooking. They love cooking, and in a third world country, it may be all they ever do. So they put a lot of love into the food.
Wow. You know what? We got something I want to address here, because I don't want it to go unsaid. Where did it say it here? Dominican Don Juan said, "Can we talk about cryptocurrency in Latin America, Medellin, Brazil, and Predictor? Can I pay for things using Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dash, etc.? If this is not the forum, forgive me. Just curious." You came to the right place at the wrong time, because people who know me know my channel talks about three things. I talk about world travel a lot, not just my life in Brazil or his life in Colombia. I have friends all over the world. I love to talk about social events, social things that are happening. But a big part of what I talk about is money. I love money. Money is an amazing slave. I think money is great. And I talk about saving money, investments, and from my background as a financial professional, and I talk about cryptocurrency a lot. Dominican Don Juan, this is what I want you to do. Shoot me an email. I'm going to put together a show, and I'm going to address the things that you just talked about. My email, YusefWateef@gmail.com. Shoot me an email and let me know what your specific questions are, and we're going to put something together specifically to address that. How's that for fan service, right? We got a question specifically for you. Check that out.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I mean with most Colombian food is organic. I mean they're it's people pushing fresh vegetables right down the street probably as we speak. I can I'm awakened to someone outside my window selling pineapples and avocados screaming in the on the megaphone probably around 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning in a convenience store that you go into. And that's what I always like to show friends and family when they visit, is that the convenience stores here, they showcase fresh fruits and vegetables. So yeah, I don't think GMOs are a problem here in terms of Colombian food. Maybe it's not as profitable. I mean, they're connected. I don't know about Brazil, but I can say from Colombia, you're very close living here to the actual food source. There's not 5 different layers between you and what you put in your mouth. I mean, you can literally, I can remember one time, needing some orange juice, and I'm at a wedding in like the middle of nowhere, but it's like I just walked maybe 250 yards back to the main road, and there's like a fresh fruit and juice stand, and they just made the orange juice right there. So I mean, this is some of the freshest food on the planet.
I'm gonna have to do another food video because I used to take my camera out to the market on Sunday mornings when I would go get my food. I remember buying some chicken that had been cut up, like they literally have the wet market. They set it up every day, boom, boom, boom. He cuts up the chicken, he gives it to me. Now, me, still thinking like an American when I got here, I bought 4 chicken quarters, wrapped them up, put them in the fridge. Do you know they went bad in like 3 days? And I was like, why is the chicken going bad? That's because the chicken was alive yesterday.
Right.
Okay. The day before he cut that chicken, it was alive, and it didn't get pumped full of all kinds of different things and preservatives. That's what happens when you have a fresh chicken, you eat it today or tomorrow.
Yep.
That's why people go shopping a little every day. That's why you see, Aunt Susie and Grandma Carol and old man so-and-so,
everybody shopping all the time.
Why are y'all shopping all the time? Easy, because you're not going to load up your refrigerator with a bunch of fresh food. I remember buying a flat of eggs, and the dude looked at me because there's a guy there. Yeah, I'll tell you something funny. We got 2 people to sell eggs. There's one lady who has a minivan, and one guy who has a little hatchback car. And he pulls up down here in the car, and he has 30, 60, 90 of either brown eggs or white eggs. And the lady down the road has the same thing. For some reason, I couldn't understand why. But when I went and bought my eggs, he was like, you want 30 eggs? I said, yeah. And I took them home. I had no idea. Oh, these are what fresh eggs are like. And the weird part about him is he posted up next to this area where there's a little beauty parlor, and he's always talking to girls coming in and out. But the lady who runs her eggs pulled up next to the gym down the road. So these guys, weightlifters, bodybuilders,
right.
And she's just constantly
breaking in the dough. Yeah, I mean,
Brother Chris is out here with me in Brazil. We haven't had enough time to hang out because thank you, COVID.
Yeah, but the food is really, that's one of the worst things about going back to the States, is that it's just so hard to find healthy options for food in comparison to living abroad, in places like Colombia or Brazil. It's like as soon as I get off the plane, and get in the airport, there's nothing. I mean, there's nothing that I'm used to eating. It's all sandwiches and pizza and burgers and donuts in comparison to here, where it's just going to be something normally much more healthy.
It's awkward. It's I tell people all the time, one thing about Brazilians, and I love saying this, and you can tell me if the same thing is true for Colombians. Brazilians are vain people. In the United States, I'm one of the oldest men in the gym. I turned 43 last Saturday. And when I go to the gym here, I'm not even within 20 years of the oldest person there. There is this dude that I saw at the park. We have outdoor parks. All white hair, pulled back. This dude was doing freehand back pull-ups. And I was like, oh, that's my competition. In America, if you're not part of the 2/3 of Americans who are obese or overweight, you already won the game. Out here, nah, player. You better, if you're gonna wear a tank top, you better have something to show for it. Because out here, these guys do not fuck around. They like to look at the women too.
Oh man, yeah, and that's what I tell people. It's amazing. You don't realize until you live somewhere like this how dead vanity is in the United States. And you're like, man, who made the decision to kill vanity? Because when you come into a country where, you know, everybody still wants to look good. I mean, it's amazing. It doesn't even matter how poor they are. They're still going to be on top of their game. I don't see anybody walking the streets with bonnets or hair rollers or, you know, house shoes. No.
I'll tell you something. People, when they come out the house here, you come out ready. Part of it, though, is in America, quality food is very expensive, but junk food is cheap. Here, you got to kind of like a girl if you're taking her to Outback, because that's like, yeah, I mean, of course, according to their economy, like if you're going to someplace like Outback with a chick, in America, you can go to Outback. It's like Tuesday, I'll take her to Outback. I don't know her that well. I don't want to spend any kind of money on her. But here, you know, McDonald's and junk food is expensive. So when mom says, hey, if you get an A on this math test, I'm going to take you to McDonald's on Saturday, kids is like, oh, I get McDonald's. I had McDonald's in like 6 weeks. Whereas in America, kids trade their lunch money for McDonald's.
Right.
You know, and it's scary. Hey, I'll tell you something else I like about being out here, because another part of what I do is a lot of people have been coming here for cosmetic tourism and medical tourism, which are two different things. But I got teeth. My teeth weren't like, what I did is I went ahead and I got the process where they straightened them all up, polished them all down, and said, basically, this is the best version of your teeth had they grown out of your mouth. I had to fight with the dentist, and I told her, if you touch my gap, we're going to have a real problem. And I think it cost me, let's call it $700 US.
Right.
The whole process. It was like 10 hours across 5 days, 1 or 2 days a week for, you know, and it's awkward because in America, you find out it's not that other countries don't make a profit on medicine. They're charging the true cost, whereas in America, they're compounding it.
Right. Right.
It's so inflated. Now,
yes,
I don't want to bring up too much past pain. Do you find managing your health, especially considering you had to deal with a tumor removal, better outside the United States?
Oh yes, without a doubt. I mean, that's one of the things that I am most proud of is the fact that I'm, you know, since that I mean, when I was in the States, I didn't care much about my health. But once I came to that epiphany that is the true source of wealth, coming here was perfect for me, because even in Panama, I mean, the medical attention that you receive here is so much better than the United States, just because they're not doing it just to get rich and just to make money. You can actually feel the care from the medical community. I mean, you know, you go into the hospitals, the nurses are so professional. They still got the little hat on. They got makeup on. I mean, it looks like something out of Florence Nightingale, and you get that level of treatment. Whereas in the United States, you know, everybody just kind of looks like they just got out of bed. You know what I mean? But the professionalism and the cost. I mean, I've had every test there is done for, you know, and I know I hadn't even spent $500, you know, to get MRIs, echocardiograms. I just recently had my, my kidney sonogrammed. I did a blood pressure monitor because that's one of the things I still struggle with is high blood pressure. But it's like I would go into hospitals in the States and I would tell, be it a physician or be it the ER, they check my blood pressure and it would be high. And I was like, they're like, are you on medicine? I'm like, yeah, I'm on medicine. And I'm like, as you can see, it's not working. And they just like, oh yeah, you're right. It's not working, and keep on moving. Whereas here, when I say that, well, they're like, let's investigate. Let's find out why, your blood pressure is still high. So we're going to hook you up with an internal medicine doctor, and she's going to run all of these tests. Then you get the test done, and there's like, I'm on one of the best plans they have here. It's the Cadillac insurance plan that they have, and I spend, I think, somewhere around $450 every 3 months. But it is the best care I've ever had in comparison to my US Cigna plan, which cost me about $1,200 a month. And you still got a $5,000 to $10,000 deductible, so you don't even know if you want to take advantage of it. And I think that's, as from a life expectancy standpoint, I think, the reason why, white men outlive black men is because, they go to the doctor, and they can afford to go to the doctor. And I think, if it's like you say, medical tourism, it's worth it if you're concerned about your health to really come to a place like this. And if it means you got to give up on material stuff to live, they're gonna keep you alive here, if you can afford that small premium.
And that's the thing. I mean, Brazil has one of the most comprehensive public health care plans in the world. I don't use it because I feel like I haven't paid taxes in the country enough and I can afford private medicine. By the way, I get a checkup every 4 months, a full flashlight up my butt and down my nose, all the blood work, and I think it costs $35 US. And I just ordered extra just because I'm like, oh, you got my blood, run everything. And they're like, all right. And it always comes back. My only problem is, I mean, of course, when you do the kind of weightlifting I do, they're like, you got about 15 pounds that you're being lazy about. Like when I tighten up, I can do it well, but they're like, you got about 15 pounds, you can, but it's not, I'm not obese by any means. They just want to see, and look at Dominican Don Juan. He said it's 1,000 per tooth here. Don Juan, where are you exactly? And don't forget to email me, YusefWateef@gmail.com. Let's see, look at Xing Shang. Managing your health in the U.S. is very expensive compared to other parts of the world. Amen. That's the point. That's the whole thing.
Right.
Managing your health on a global scale is, well, listen, I don't want to keep you too long. I appreciate you stopping by. I hope that all my people become your people online. And do you have any parting shots?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody that's watching, that's ever come through the cafe and come to Sweet Georgia. I mean, that's what we're about, bringing a taste of Georgia and spreading it around the world. And if you haven't, come on down and check us out as soon as they open the gates, and you'll be able to follow us at sweetgeorgiacafe.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, and we're spreading the word about the new sports bars, and we hope to be in Thailand and Cartagena and Bogota and maybe even Brazil pretty soon.
Can we talk privately? Because this is something y'all don't need to hear. Can we talk franchise later?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's what I'm going to hang up. I'm not letting these people stack, because that's some business.